thank you for coming over to the second part. Anyone watching this, especially Terry. Um, I hope me opening up like this is really helping you. I know hearing that you're not the only one helps a lot. But anyway, um, he said, "Well, I know how to do it because I seen it in a movie," and that set up a red flag because I'm thinking, what parents would let a little 8-year-old do this? A little 10-year-old thinking this, and I was thinking, what? Like, it didn't make sense. And I said I didn't want to have sex with him, because I was afraid I was going to get caught, because we were in the other room, and my grandparents were in the other room, and I was in my bedroom with them. I just wasn't comfortable. I thought, well, we shouldn't be doing this, and then eventually, we both took off everything except our underwear, and he basically dry humped me in the missionary position for, I don't know, 7 or 4 minutes or so. And I was just freaked out that my grandma was going to walk in, I was getting in trouble. That was my main concern. And then I was just afraid of getting caught, really. I wasn't worried about what was going on. And then I remember I heard my grandma in the kitchen, because they have a big house. I was over here, and they were all the way over here, and, they were on we were two totally different sides of the house. So, I said, no, this is enough. I don't want to get caught. We could stop this. And so I hurried as fast as I could to put my clothes back on. And I remember shouting, hurry up and put your pants back on. And he said, I'm trying, it's really hard. I'm trying though. And then we were fully clothed, and we went back into what would be called the living room. And my grandma said, well, you were making a lot of noise in there. What were you doing? And I made up this story. I said, oh, well, we were playing with we were playing Ninja Turtles, and for some reason one of the action figures, like the pants were off of the action figure, and I made this stupid story, and she was like, oh, all right. She had this very ignorant, like she wouldn't lie about something like that, so I know she's telling the truth kind of thing. And I still haven't talked to her about this. I talked to her about this other incident I told you I wouldn't talk to you about because of the person having an account on MySpace. I told her about that, and she said, the person that I'm not going to talk to you about, I talked to her about that. She said, really? I said, yeah. And she goes, are you sure? I said, I vividly remember it. It did happen. She said, I had no idea that happened. If I knew it was happening, I would have put a stop to it. And, okay, the person that I just talked about, we dry humped missionary, and then I seen him a couple of days after that, and I was thinking, I hope I don't get in trouble. I hope, because he was kind of a dork. I was afraid that he was going to tell his mom or something, and the mom moved in with this guy, and this guy had a lot of these moms that were single moms and moved in with him, and then had these little kids. I don't know if he was a child molester, but I think he might have been, because there was this girl that the mom moved in up the street, but he told me, like, a couple days after that he said, well, I told my mom what happened about, you and I, we didn't have sex, but it was like pretend or whatever, it was like fake or something, right? And it was like, my heart dropped. I was like, oh my God, you told your mom? Like, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. Like, why did you have to tell her? And he said, oh, well, I told her that I didn't do it, and then she showed me how to do it for real. And I said, do it for real? Like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, I told her that we did it with her underwear on, and we did it without her underwear on. And I said, what? And he said, I did it with my mom for real without my underwear on. And I said, you're not supposed to do that. It's your mom. And he said, oh, okay. Well, I think you and I doing it, because he wanted to spend, so much time over at my house. And I think it was because of his family. I mean, you can kind of assume. But he said, well, I think, because we did it the other day, I think I got you pregnant, so I want to move into your basement, and I want to raise our kid together. And he started going off on this tangent about how he's worried that I got pregnant. And I said, you can't get pregnant doing it through your underwear. And he said, no, I think you can. And I said, no, you can't. I'm sure, because I retook sex ed. I was in 3rd grade. I know your generation didn't take sex ed for a long time, and it's very vague. We started sex ed when we were in 3rd grade. And I still wasn't 100% sure that was 100% safe at the time, which is kind of funny thinking about it now. But, I was telling him, don't worry about it, it was her underwear. And I was thinking, is that 100% correct? But I felt so guilty. And I still feel kind of, I was only 10, or in a 10-year-old low mindset. But it was just, I felt if I told my grandma that his mom, that he told me that he had sex with his mom, and she would say, well, why do you know that? And then I'd have to spill my guts about everything in order to tell them that little part of it. I thought I was going to get in trouble for what I did. I didn't feel I was abused. I felt I was like, I was like the one of the culprits in the crime kind of thing. I was one of the criminals. So I didn't tell her. Later, my granddad's ladder was up, leaning against a tree, and this kid, it was wobbly and everything, and it was just leaning there. It was resting. I was resting against the tree, and this kid, he said, he tried to climb up on it, and he fell. He didn't get hurt or anything, but he said, I'm really pissed off at this ladder. I'm going to start throwing rocks at it. And I said, I'm going to get in so much trouble if you do that. Don't do that. I just imagined racing through my head the lecture I would have got because of that. And he said, well, if you don't move out, I'm going to, because I was in the way of the ladder. I was going like that. Don't do it. And what happened was, he started throwing rocks, and he threw a rock, and he said, well, if you don't move, I'm going to throw a rock at you. And I said, no, you love me, right? You're not going to throw a rock at me. And he said, no, I'm going to throw a rock. And he threw a rock on my head. It wasn't like going to the ER or anything, but it was a few scratches. My head was bleeding. I ran back into the house, and I said, my head is bleeding. He threw a rock at my head. And my grandma and my granddad were saying, why would you throw a rock at her head? And everything. And my granddad said, I don't want to see you ever again near my name was Jody. He said, I don't want you ever again near Jody. You're not welcome here again. You're not her friend anymore. So that was the end of that relationship. It was fairly brief. It was probably the summer, maybe a little bit longer than that. I don't honestly remember. It was probably at least 4 months or so, but it was briefer than other friendships. But anyway, that's the end of my story. I hope that I made you feel comforted, because I told you that, and I was, I was upfront about it and blunt and everything. So if you ever want to talk to me, go ahead. Okay, bye.